The word anthropomorphic was originally coined in reference to gods taking on human form in Greek myth. But nowadays, it's used in reference to anything being given a human characteristic, and it's a common theme in comics.
Yeah, and while Gaiman's Sandman series showed that you can give human form to practically anything,
Sure.
It's usually animals that are made into people.
And as Guardians of the Galaxy shows us, the only thing better than animal people are animal people holding massive guns. So we've decided to look at a couple of comics that focus on exactly that. Starting off with Richard Stockings' Elephant Men.
As is so often the case in these stories, Elephant Men finds its origin in the lab of an evil and demented scientist. In this case, one Dr. Niken, who has the simple dream of breeding and training an army of half-animal, half-human super soldiers.
It's a pretty brutal story, and even when the United Nations find out about Niken's experiments and free the Elephant Men, their woes are only just beginning, as they are released to find their own place in a world that mostly hates and fears them.
Elephant Men is a spin-off to the series Hip Flask and features the same lead character, Hieronymus Hip Flask, a hippo hybrid that works for the intelligence agency, investigating crimes involving elephant men, along with his partner Ebenezer Ebony Hyde.
I'm a big fan of the slightly grubby, futuristic look of this series. There's a very Blade Runner feel to the whole thing, and the character models of the Elephant Men are fantastic.
Yeah, Moritat's artwork gives this comic a distinct personality, sometimes cartoonish and drenched in cyber noir. It's a big buy from me.
Yeah, there's a great scope to this story, and despite its very grim themes, it's also aware of its own humour and the absurdity of the premise. It's a buy from me as well.
Our next title is a more recent release from Boom Studios. Six Gun Gorilla, written by Simon Spurrier with art by Jeff Stokely.
There's honestly little I like better than a good sci-fi/western, two genres that just meld perfectly with their themes of danger, innovation, and exploring new frontiers.
And why not throw in a cigar-smoking gorilla with massive six guns?
Why not indeed? Our story takes place in a dimension known as the Blister, where a years-old civil war between the Earth government and the settlers is fought using pneumatic guns and massive tortoises.
Yeah, since for some reason combustion doesn't work on the Blister, so no gunpowder and no engines. And that's just one of the many quirks of this place that shows there's more going on here than any of the combatants have yet guessed.
And into this war-torn dimension comes an unnamed man whose only wish is to die for the benefit of the audience back on Earth who are watching through his eyes.
So there's a Truman Show element here as well, and that's even before the gorilla shows up.
Yeah.
There is a lot going on in this story, and it's a very sharp and intelligent read.
It is, isn't it?
Yeah.
I've got to say, there's been a real jump in quality for Boom Studios over the last year or so.
Yep.
And it's books like this that are the reason why. It's got this attention-grabbing premise laid over some really quite thought-provoking ideas. I enjoyed the hell out of it. It's a buy from me.
I just want to focus on the art just for a second.
Sure.
Stokely has a style that sometimes reminded me of Raphael Albuquerque, but with a more cartoonish focus. It's perfectly suited to this surprisingly deep story. This was a really fun read, and not at all what you would expect just looking at the cover. It's definitely a buy from me.
Hey, if you were a mad scientist,
Yeah.
I say if,
If.
what sort of hybrid animal would you want to create?
Oh, come on, it has to be a flock of flying monkeys.
That makes perfect sense.
Yeah.
I'd be going for, like, robot dolphins with laser eyes. And legs. And jets.
Oh god.
Big jets out of the blowhole.